You should have heard of the grand plan going on currently, and the conversation happening between all opposition parties in Nigeria to a possible unseating of Bola Ahmed Tinubu in 2027. It must be said at this junction that I do not believe that we're going to have a free and fair election in 2027, except something is done urgently to reform the allegedly reformed electoral act or electoral system. Quite a mess and a quagmire at the moment. And if anything magical is going to happen to 2027, then we must make INEC truly independent or make it to follow strict procedures that be enshrined in the now maybe the new electoral act that will be amended. But for now, it is all mirage, all wishing, wisher, and nothing may happen. However, you can't stop the actors and players from having conversations, and one of them is a possible return of Mr. Peter Obi back to the PDP. And while it is very, very welcomed, considering what has happened in the Labour Party and the fact that PDP has a bigger platform that can penetrate, and I'm sure that if Peter Obi was the man on the ballot for PDP 2023, a whole lot of things would have been different. He did his best, I must say, and congratulations to all of you that supported that idea. Meanwhile, the particular concentration of this video is the fact that a lot of persons are insinuating that a possible Atiku Peter Obi ticket is made to happen. Now, while I do not want to dabble into the south and north dynamics or geometrics or semantics, permit me, of the conversation, I want to speak deliberately on the fact that Peter Obi being made to be vice presidential candidate to Atiku Abubakar may not perform magic. I've said it. Our expectations of who the vice president is should begin to get lower after the last few encounters. So apart from Olusegun Obasanjo and who Atiku was before he became, Atiku was a founding member of the People's Democratic Party. In fact, it is on record that Atiku was had one of the strongest leg into the formation of the PDP in 1998. He formed the PDM that brought about the PDP, and then he had won as governor of Adamawa State in that elections already before he was made to go and deputize or become vice presidential candidate to Olusegun Obasanjo, who was then going to have his strongest rival being Chief Olufalaye at the time. So Atiku was a big political factor. In fact, way back to 1992, Atiku was one of the politicians that had to step down for Chief MK Abiola to contest in the elections at that time. So he was huge. So he thought that political value was bringing in was supposed to be respected and honored. But again, Olusegun Obasanjo, who he is, had all the battles. Now, leave that particular analysis. The last time there was a bromance between a president and a vice president was between Umaru Musa Yar'Adua and Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. In fact, when Yar'Adua died and Jonathan had to take over, we saw the battle. Yar'Adua's wife, Awundowaka at the time. It was a huge battle all along until Yar'Adua became president. Namadu Sambo was his deputy. Namadu Sambo was totally quiet. And for the fact that he was leaving office as governor at that time, quiet. And so I remember having a conversation before Muhammadu Buhari became president, and somebody was telling me that even if you don't like Buhari, acknowledge the fact that Professor Yemi Osinbajo was a professor of law and part and parcel of the progression that Lagos State has achieved in the last couple of years. And like Benin says, Umalude Marie Rema, Rema, so to speak. So if you didn't like Buhari, you can't despise the fact that Yemi Osinbajo was a material. 8 years, looking back at that government, it's been a mirage. Yemi Osinbajo was ousted. The few times he had a few things to do, you could just see that this guy was confused. And I am not a fan of Kazim Shettima, but I can tell you, looking back at Northern Nigeria, if Northern Nigeria has produced 20 intellectual giants, you can't take away the fact that Kazim is one of the smartest Northerners. And transfers beyond just politics. He's one man that is understand. Go watch Kazim Shettima without the iota of his personality or what politics has become. Very well read, well learned. He's been in the back industry, well grounded, understands dynamics and a few things. I don't know about being pro-Nigeria nationalist. It's quite difficult to get around there. but then he's somebody that is grounded. But look at him in this government. In short, Yemi Osinbajo even had a voice than him, and Kazim was so wishing that he would have a voice in the government that he even opined that while Professor Bola Ahmed Tinubu would be president and commander in chief and maybe managing the economy, he will be commander in chief of the armed forces and managing the security forces. But I can tell you, he's been going on errands, condolence visit, traveling here and there, receiving guests, nothing. And I can't even remember the last time Kazim had an interface with the media to even speak on certain issues. He's been really a plethora of a lot of embarrassing situations where he's been silenced. So again, why am I bringing all this? I am not saying that political permutations. I understand that it's going to be difficult for a lot of things to happen. I'm not saying it is terrible for Peter Obi to accept to be deputy or vice president to whoever the PDP is going to propose in the equation. But I can tell you, don't expect magic. The Constitution of Nigeria has made it very clear that the vice presidential role is only derogatory, or not derogatory, delegating. It is by delegation that any effect can be made. And from the last few years or last two instances, we can see clearly that there is no magic that will happen in the vice presidential seat. Don't expect anything, except you are just going to be docile and dormant for that time, and then you can contest afterward. But guess what? The permutations are that the effect of that government would have a stake on him being able to contest move forward. And for more indications, as we can see, no president of Nigeria has actually supported or permitted, Buhari permitted Osinbajo, but he didn't give him the support. At the end, we thought Osinbajo was his interest, but the Buhari camp announced former Senate President Ahmed Lawal as their choice to be president to replace him. So he didn't follow. Again, Buhari, being a big god that he is, probably would not have given look to another tribe. So it is really not something to look at. The Nigerian president, and look at it from even the office of governors. No governor has easily permitted his deputy to take over from him. It's quite a so let's not deceive ourselves. Atiku thought Osinbajo would understand and say because of who he was in the Nigerian politics and how he supported the emergence of the political dispensation after the intervention of military rule. He thought it was going to be easy, right? But it didn't happen. So allowing Peter Obi also to be vice president, don't expect magic. That's my point. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but don't expect magic. And that alone can affect the entirety of his political journey moving forward. If that makes sense. Okay. I think I had. Good night.